Poll, November 9th, 2016. Roll call, all councilors are present except Councilor Barber and Councilor Perazzotti. Anybody have any calendar and communications? No, congratulations to Joe.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Harry.
Thanks.
With no calendar communications, I'd like to move approval of the minutes, which is the next thing on the agenda.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. It's any unfinished business? Okay, move on to new business, 2016-0250 LED conversion for streetlights. We're going to have Gary and Rick come up to the podium, the table, the mics.
What we're here tonight to do is talk about the streetlights, and Rick will go into detail the LED streetlight conversion in the Eversource area in the town. What we are asking the council tonight to do is authorize the town manager to complete the installation phase, we did the inventory phase, of this project and to enter into a financing agreement, and Rick will go through the second part, also amend the current CIP project to include the parking lot lighting in this area. So Rick, turn it over to you.
Okay. You'll see on the dais there an updated referral. It has some additional charts and things in the back. It also has an amended alternatives on the second page of the referral memo, and there's also a copy of some updated language for the CIP project, which would increase the authorization for funding, which is all basically outside funding at this particular time for that amount. So if you would turn to the third page, there's a chart that shows the LED streetlight conversion project estimated cost. When we initially submitted the CIP, it was based on the proposal. The audit was completed, there was some additional lights added, so consequently, the 465,000 wouldn't cover all of the lights that we wanted to do, which the lights we added were parking lots, some wall packs on the buildings and stuff, and that's part number 2, if you look at on your chart. So to do the entire project, if you look over at number 3, that's the combined project. Total project cost $530,688 plus a contingency, bringing the total about $583 less the rebate or incentives. We'll get some incentives. The majority of the incentives from Eversource, because the majority of the lights are in the Eversource area, but there are some of the parking lot lights that are in the Groton Utilities area, so we'd get a smaller rebate from them for those lights. Which brings us to the bottom line financing amount, which is $436,848, which would need to be financed through what we've been talking to is Eversource, who has a municipal government obligation contract for 4 years at 0%. So that, after looking at other reviews, would save us $58,000 to about $78,000 on the 3 proposals we got from Tanco as far as the cost of the lighting. And you can see that down at the bottom. You can see what, if we just did the total project is number 3. You can also see if we only did the proposed street lights. So our proposal would be to do all of the lights. The company would be mobilized, they're out here, they'd be doing the work, and we could get all those done. If you look at the next page, it says LED lighting estimated project loan payback and savings plan. I made these boxes align with the boxes on the front page, so as not to be too confusing. But you can see what the annual electrical cost currently is for us now. It's for for lighting, street lighting only, and that's $73,000. The box number 2 shows what the lighting is for the proposed lights in the parking lots and those other building lights.
It's a small one.
Oh, there should have been one. Yep, there's one. Okay. And then, of course, if you move out to the right, you can see what the total cost would be and potential $38,000 that we'd have to add to our utility costs for the year for a period of 4 years. What this allows us to do, though, is get this paid off in 4 years, and then we see $70,000 plus or minus in savings from 4 years on out, which is pretty significant. And you can see that by looking at the bottom box. If you follow that arrow down, it says estimated annual electrical savings from the complete project. And it's broken up into various sections. The first section is what we're paying now. The second section is what we'll be paying when the project's done. So we'll go from approximately $98,000 a year for the electrical cost down to about $27,000, which is like a 70% savings, and we'd be saving $70,000 a year, commencing when we finish the project. Also attached is an updated CIP page, which really is, as I said, really just asks to increase the amount of the project from 465 to 584, and then we'll work on the financing with through Eversource, which is who we've contacted and been working with them on the zero interest 4-year program. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's a large project, sometimes confusing, but I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Anybody have any questions? Joe?
I was going to ask you about the parking lots where you added lights.
Yes.
Is that just are they brand new?
No, that's to replace the lights. The
Just to
only
replace it.
parking lot that's been done besides the high school, which is under the Board of Ed, was the senior center and the library. That parking lot's been done.
Oh, yeah. And
The
has
rest
anyone
of the
complained
town-
about them at all?
I'm sorry?
Has anyone complained about the new light? I think that, I like them.
No, I haven't heard any complaints about those lights.
Yep.
We were looking at using the same intensity, the same temperature, color, if you will,
Yeah.
for the other parking lot lights, because, they're kind of areas of refuge, and you want to make sure that they're brightly
Yeah, no.
lit, so they're, but what we were looking at is like the parking lots here, Town Hall. We were looking at the various parks and parking lots, replacing those lights. For example, down at Sutton Park, the basketball court lights would be changed to floodlights to LEDs. So we were trying to capture basically everything in the town that was outside of the buildings that was the town owned.
That sounds good. I like these kind of plans because they pay themselves back, so.
They do.
Councilor Quinn?
I think, yeah, how'd you calculate the savings? Is that maintenance savings? Is that,
That's only electrical savings. We had a pro forma sheet that Tanco provided to us, gave us the estimated savings. We also, as part of the rebate program, they had to submit the whole table, at least on the Eversource area, which is around 1,450 fixtures. And the numbers match very closely. So they gave us the savings in kilowatt hours. On the rebates, we get 30 cents per kilowatt hour saved. And the electrical costs, we know what that is. So the estimates were really pretty close when all is said and done. There were slight variations, but there always is.
I was just going to finish up.
Oh, you have a couple, Greg?
Well, I was going to follow up with that. I remember when we were talking about this, didn't we just say there'd be some maintenance savings because it's less upkeep?
Yes, there are, and I'll let Gary talk about the maintenance, but the maintenance would be separate from
Right.
this.
But it's just as far as whether the project's a good project, there's other additional savings we can.
And there will be. We program about $40,000 a year for maintenance of the lights. What we will need to enter into is a separate agreement with a vendor to maintain the LEDs. We would expect the first 3 to 5 years for it to be very minimal. There'll be some under contract, if there's a failure because of the fixture malfunction due to manufacturing. But then there's the failures during the first couple of years or first 3 to 5 years. They're usually what they call takedowns. some car hits it, pole comes down, or utility wants it moved or anything else. So there's a little bit of savings there. We don't know what that maintenance agreement will be. We know it's less than $40,000, but we wanted to go, so there is additional savings. We wanted to go just with the hard electrical kilowatt hours saved, new fixtures up. The little bit of what was calculated into, and Rick had the numbers, is that we were looking at each arm that holds the light. We haven't looked at those arms in 30, 35, 40 years, so we did count on some arms to be replaced. Hopefully there's not more than what we expect, because the inventory was done from the ground level looking up, not up actually in a bucket truck, rattling a fixture. So we didn't include, bottom line, we did not include the maintenance phase. We would expect that to be, that was shown in our annual operating budget, those savings, that delta.
And Gary was talking about arms. We also, the reason the first part of the project, the lighting only was a little bit higher, was we rolled in replacement arms for our sagging lights on Water Street and Mystic. So those will all be converted internally to LEDs, but we'll also repair those lights with a better support arm for those lights. There's 11 of those.
Thanks.
So there's a less of a rebate from Groton Utilities?
It's lesser in amount total because there's a lot fewer lights.
Oh, okay.
It's probably about the same amount
Okay.
per kilowatt hour, but the amount's going to be a lot less. It's going to be in the neighborhood of probably $4,000 to $7,000 when all's said and done, but it's a lot less than $140 odd we expect to get from Eversource.
Dean, then Karen, and then back to Greg.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, and on the concept that what we're doing is we're sort of laying out up front to save both energy, and also, I believe, we're also going to save an upkeep, notwithstanding but we don't know exactly what the maintenance agreements are going to be. Town owns things pretty much ad infinitum, so we're always in it for the long haul. It's never just a short horizon, so that's, you've got my support.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, anybody who's converted their own home to LED lighting realizes what a savings that is just in a small house. So I totally support this, and I would move to authorize the town manager to complete the installation phase of the project and enter into a financing agreement for the streetlight project with Eversource, and to approve the amendment to the CIP project and increase the project funding to $584,000.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Morton, a second by Councilor Cruz. And I know Greg had a question?
Yeah, the maintenance contract, is that budgeted already, or is that fiscal year 2018 that we'd be entering?
I think, Rick, the installation will be completed in May of 2017, so that kind of dovetails right into our fiscal year.
Right.
So it'll be in our FYE 2018 budget, but we will have it negotiated, and it'll be a line item in there.
Thanks.
So is it fair enough to say that the CIP is 465, so this is still coming in under budget? It wouldn't take any additional money the money is there in the CIP?
Well, and there's two things is, as Rick had said, the streetlight portion of it, which is what the CIP, if you look at the CIP, the original CIP language, we were looking at everything but just funding the streetlights. We had $465,000, that came in 429, so that came right on the money. We included the parking lot lighting. We're asking for is to increase the funding at the CIP project. Now, part of this funding will be, and to explain there, is that there you will see in the Public Works budget, there will be a line item of about $38,912. That's what we're estimating. For 4 years, that's going to have to pay off the part of the capital costs, because the savings in electricity, the rebates don't cover the full cost of the project. So there is that delta that one will see there. To increase the CI and the CIP, that should all be covered. I don't think there's any other appropriation, I don't believe, that we need from the...
The delta, the shortfall would be covered as an addition, for a number of years, additional funding in the Public Works.
Public Works operating budget.
Can you, I'm sorry to be not understanding, but on page 3, the combined project cost, 530, is 583, 757 less Eversource rebates, it comes to 436, 848, including the parking lots. But don't we have that in the CIP? Isn't there 465 in the CIP?
We are asking for the total cost of the, that's how we usually fund the projects, is the total cost of the projects, and any rebates comes back to us. So we're asking for the full project number, the full dollar value of the project. That's,
How long does it take for the rebate to come back?
Generally, talking with our folks at MCOR, who's the agent for Eversource, they would provide 2 checks or possibly more, depending on us. But the first part would be basically to pay for the light installation, that sort of thing. After a final inspection, then they would give us the rebate check, and that typically happens in relatively short term after the project. You know, right now we're looking, like, as Gary said, the maximum is the end of May, but things could be moved up more quickly, certainly, to get at least the overhead parts done, the street lights, and then it's going to take a little bit longer to do the parking lots because they're a little more difficult to install. But
So why would it take 4 years of $38,000 additional in the Public Works budget if we're going to get the money back from Eversource? Let's say it's a year and a half even. Why wouldn't we just erase it and put the...
If I could, Bruce, and I don't have the handout that you guys have, but I have what was in your packet. So if you go to the CIP, the total project cost that was approved, thanks, Rick, that was approved was $464,000. That included the rebates. So if you go down to the bottom of the page and you see other, O, meaning other, it's rebates / third-party financing. So that was the total project cost. The new total project cost, because we're redefining the project, we're including parking lot lighting, is more than the 468. So that, to answer, I think, your first question, that's why we need to modify the CIP. I wished we didn't, because that means we have to, I don't mean this the way it was going to sound, but we have to go to the RTM with that, because we're changing the scope of the project. So those aren't dollars that are above and beyond the 464 project cost. Those are part of the dollars associated with the $464,000 project. And you know, we could upfront this all at once. I mean, we could just pay cash for the whole thing and take the rebates, but it's a 0% loan. I don't know why we wouldn't want to take advantage of that, and it's a 4-year term, right?
Right, 4-year term. Also, if you look at Block 3 again, the amount to be financed is 436, not the entire 583. So that 436 includes the return of the rebates that would pay some of that upfront cost.
Fine.
So when we get the rebates, is that money going back to the general fund?
That money will go to help pay for the project. We have, if you look, there's a
Oh, it's
$530,000 total project.
Okay.
Then there's a 10% contingency we put on top of that
Okay.
in case we have some bad poles, some additional arms, some other issues. That brings it to 583. The rebates pay for part of it, and the rest is financed through Eversource.
Harry?
Okay, now, Mark, I know it has to go to the RTM to change the CIP from, I got both of them open in front of me, from 465 to 584. I mean, we always do this, though, which we explained, is to talk about financing, other, that, whatever in here. With the RTM, just, what bothers me a little bit is, does the RTM, can they zero it out completely if it goes back to them, or are they just talking about the extra 120 grand or whatever?
We're changing the scope of the project, so we need them, in my opinion, to approve the revised scope of project. I mean, this is an investment. I mean, we're going to be saving, within 4 years, we're going to be saving quite a bit of money. And the reason it's spread out over 4 years is we're trying to balance the savings that will accrue immediately for electricity costs and apply whatever that savings in a year to pay for the loan for the capital cost.
And then we need additional funding of around 30,
About 30 to 40,000.
okay,
Again, depends
per
on final
year to
numbers.
pay for that capital cost. So 4 years of $30,000 or $40,000 per year, plus the energy cost savings of having more efficient lights in. I mean, it's really, almost everything, I mean, Rick and Gary, in my opinion, have done a great, almost everything we've done from an energy efficiency standpoint, the town hasn't put in $1 up front. All these lights were converted under a program that basically says you're paying $1 a light per year now. You're gonna continue paying $1 a light per year once they're converted, but only 60 cents of that is gonna go for the electricity. The other 40 cents is gonna go for the fact that there's new ballast, new light bulbs, new whatever, up in, and so that's just the mode due to budget issues and whatever. That's how we've done just about everything in terms of energy efficiency in the last 5 or 6 years. We haven't put money aside saying, okay, we're gonna spend $200,000 to do something, and then let's see the savings immediately. That's just not how, we haven't been able to secure those dollars up front. So we're trying to figure out other ways to get to the same end result, except we won't see those savings doing it this way until 4 years down the line. So ultimately, we get it.
Yeah.
It all gets us to the same place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, I mean, obviously, the project is a good one. I'm trying to figure out how to reduce the amount of additional money that's needed in the budget next year and the other 3 years to, you know, if there's 4, it sounds, just my thing. I think it's confusing in the CIP. I think the CIP, for me, the construction cost should have been the full amount, and the other should have been a negative credit, so that we could, like, it would explain to me better that, that the $465,000 includes the, I understand it says.
That is the total construction cost.
Less the discounts, right, less the rebate.
Right. But
Yeah.
it's still, in order to do the work, either between loans or rebate credit, we need $465,000.
Right.
And, you know, basically, we're gonna be spending the money before we get the rebate. That's all called
Yeah.
cash flow. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just.
But if you're getting the money, like you said, a 0 loan rate,
Yep.
how, you know, depending what the payoff schedule is, maybe you could pay more later and use the rebate money to, I don't know, it doesn't even matter, but I'm just trying to figure out how to not have that additional, because now we're looking at, now when we look at the budget for Public
Yeah,
Works,
absolutely.
we're looking at $38,000 additional that,
And that may in part, we may be a little smarter by next year's, but it may in part be somewhat offset by reduced maintenance costs.
yeah,
But we haven't gotten that
Yeah.
far with the vendor at this point.
okay,
And it could be reduced by less contingency, maintenance, there's other things
Yeah.
out there, so,
okay.
you know.
Well, we have a motion and a second, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next is tax incentive agreement for Branford Manor, a potential executive session. And I believe John is here, along
John
with
and Mike
Attorney
Carey.
Carey.
The purpose of putting this on the agenda is to update the council as to where we are. We've had a number of either collective discussions with Related and their team, and then some individual discussions that John and Mike and others have had. Given that this is ultimately a negotiation, or potentially will be a negotiation, I'd strongly recommend that we go into executive session.
I'll move that.
Bonnie?
Move that we go into executive session
Along with the,
with the town manager, the attorney, and John Reiner.
Second.
we have a motion and a second, and just to be clear, we're going in to discuss an update on the agreement for Branford Manor, which is a negotiation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. Out of executive session, and I think someone's going to make a motion to Harry?
I'd like to make a motion that we start the ordinance process, the amendment to the ordinance process, which would be all the general things we have to do, and then pass it on to the RTM, and this would be for the tax incentive agreement for Branford Manor, and it has to do with our enterprise zone.
Mark?
Oh, okay, it's in here. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
did I say it?
The ordinance at this point, it could be applied to.
Just something else.
But we're proposing to amend the existing enterprise zone and ordinance. And we've already got a draft from the town attorney that you have in your packet. He's gonna look at some other drafts and get us,
Final.
potentially a revised draft for next week. And so there's a public hearing, there's referrals and so forth, so we'll work up a motion to that effect.
Perfect. We have a second on that?
Second.
Me.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes 7-0 to 0. Council Warden?
I would like to make a motion that we send a letter of support on the project to the CHFA.
Second.
We have a motion and a dual second. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes 7-0 to 0. Thank you, Council Morton. That brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is 2016-0267, the Joint Land Use Study Grant. John?
Thank you, John Reiner, Planning Director. What you have before you, the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments is managing a grant that is being done through the town and some of the surrounding municipalities looking at the future of the subbase. It's called the Joint Land Use Study. It's something that we'll only have to contribute staff time to, probably about a 13-month total process. The total grant amount is $319,000. The COG is taking a very minimal administrative fee off of that, and they're looking to hire a consultant. We've been going through that process, so we just wanted to get the approval of the council for staff to participate within this project.
Great, thank you. Councilor, no?
I just want, this is not just here at the subbase. They're doing these studies all across.
All over the country.
At other bases. So I just wanted other people to know, because I looked it up.
Any questions for John? Seeing none, would anybody like to,
I'll make a motion.
go ahead, Bonnie.
Do we read this resolution?
No, I can just say right the recommendation in the back of page 2.
No, you're on that page. Catch. Right here.
I would like to make a motion that the town council endorse the staff's participation in the project.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Knott, second by Councilor Grimm. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions? That too passes 7-0 to 0. Which brings us to 2016-0268, the Farm Viability Grant.
So again, the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments is looking to apply for a grant from the Connecticut Department of Agriculture for farm viability grants. It would be a regional project with a number of municipalities, looking only at contributing staff time. We do have some farms in the town as well as some agricultural-based businesses. We'd be looking at some best practices for those and how we can encourage the growth of those industries moving forward.
Harry?
Would that include aquaculture too?
I don't believe it got into aquaculture. I'd have to double check.
Because we do have that in town.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you could check that. I'm in
Yeah.
favor of doing this, of course, for sure, but
If that's an available option, we certainly will look into it.
Bonnie?
I'd like to make a motion that the town council endorse the staff participation in the project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? It says that the concept for for the grant, if received, would be to utilize the service of a consultant to work with a group of municipalities. So is that saying that the money is to pay for the consultant itself?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, Greg?
Did you see any of this staff participation, like getting in the way of the other work you're doing to?
Good question.
No, because all of these other things that we're doing, I try to only go for grants that fit within the bigger sphere of our plans and where we're trying to go for. If it was something that didn't align with our vision, we wouldn't be seeking to apply for it. So I see a minor investment in time on this. In my previous job, we were actually, I sat on a committee at the state level where we created a guidance document, a framework for doing something very similar to this, that Amanda Kennedy from the C.O.W. was actually looking at of, wow, this is a great document. We want to create something like this. So I've already been involved in something like this, so I have a fair bit of knowledge on it. I don't think it's going to take away from our larger mission. I think it's going to help it.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried with all the stuff you got going on with changing the zoning regs and all the other planning type issues you're looking at. But
And this is something that ideally would also lead to some other zoning regulation changes, very minor, but addressing some of these other industries. If we didn't do it as part of this, we'd end up doing it ourselves. So that's, again, consultants are often an extension of staff. So if I don't have the staff time to do it, can we get a consultant to do it for us? Yes, you have to oversee it and make sure they're doing quality work. But I see this as a good thing.
thanks.
And it's regional, so it's going through C.O.W.
Correct.
And how many, are there a lot of other towns participating?
That's still up in the air. Could be as many as 6, it could be as few as 3. Could be as many as 8. I think right now, they're still going through the application process, so this is not something that the C.O.W. has received. They're still writing the application, which is due, I think it was November 14th.
And is it, okay. All right. Any discussion? Any more? All those in, did we have a motion?
Yes.
Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Next is purchase of tablets for the town, and it seems pretty.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I think at the time the thought was, well, we'll hold off, we'll wait and see. We have maybe some new software we're going to be buying and so forth and so on. But there was a question that came out of that is well, what are we spending on an annual basis now to print, copy print, mail out the agenda packets? And attachment 8 is a summary that Nikki has put together. This is on an annual basis, looking at what we've done in the last year, essentially, which I don't know if it was typical or not, but it's what we did in the last year. So the total cost of paper, copying, and postage is around $1,360.
Okay. So it seems like we have a return on investment in 2 years, give or take, depending on how much the tablets cost.
Some of them cost that much.
I think the last thing we saw, they run anywhere from 200 to 800 apiece.
Mind you, this is a total figure, right?
For
It's
1
not
year.
per council.
No, right, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention the fact that if we did it, we would have stuff in, we wouldn't have to wait for the mail to come on Monday to, if the mail's slower. So, all right, well, thank you, Mark, for that information.
Nikki put it together.
Thank you, Nikki, for that information. Next is a Rotary Club of Mystic grant for the library.
And this is just go to the narrative here, a relatively small grant, but we need to get approval for it from our Rotary Club. It's for the library. It's for $1,000, and funds would be used to purchase books and craft materials to support the library's Book Buddies program. And in Betty Ann's referral memo, she provides more information on that program.
Harry?
I'm going to move approve the submission of the application for grant funds.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Watson, and second by Counselor Nod. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. Moves on to 2016-0264, agreement with Lincoln Center.
The Senior Center in Parks and Rec has been in a discussion with the Lincoln Center out of New York to be able to show programming at the Senior Center. It's a no cost, but there is an agreement that we would have to enter into, and that's why it's, I'm seeking authorization to be able to sign that agreement. And I believe you have a copy of it in here. It has been reviewed by the town attorney, Eric Callahan.
Very good. Counselor Nod?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement. I think these are terrific. They used to come out to the high school. Was that?
Great.
It's
I have a
wonderful.
motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. Now we're at Local Prevention Council Grant for Ledge Light Health District, 2016-0265.
Ledge Light provided us with a copy of a grant application that they were putting together. The grant amount is a little over $7,100, will be used to support 5 of their programs that they've been running and could plan on running over the next year. And their mental health first aid training, funding to help raise awareness of the relationship between prescription drug abuse and heroin addiction, life training for youth, parent life skills, and an alcohol prevention campaign program. As the council may recall, we really I think of Ledge Light as a town department, and we've had an understanding with them that when they're going for grants that possibly we may want a town department, Parks and Rec, Social Services, whatever, that we want to be able to run those by the council. We want to be able to vet them. None of our departments are going after this funding, so they've been very cooperative. Sometimes it comes in a little late. Sometimes I have to sign it before I can get your authorization. But it's done so because of deadlines. It's done so with the understanding that if it isn't approved by the council, we will let the funding entity know. But I think this is a great opportunity. It's a relatively small amount of money.
Bonnie?
So, but they don't really work for us.
We are a member.
We're a member, but so is New London or Ledger?
I don't know what New London or the other communities do. This is a long.
That whenever they do anything, they come to us.
Well, when it's a grant program that possibly we may be thinking about, I don't want to be
conflict.
If it's a competitive grant and we want to go after it, geez, I'd like to know up front that there may be, Ledge Light may be competing against us. Ledge Light, and I know, Harry, I know you know this, Ledge Light and our departments work very closely together on programming activities, and so.
Steve attends staff meetings, doesn't he?
Steve is at most of the department head staff meetings, yeah, that's why I consider them to really be kind of a pseudo department of the town.
I'll move it that we support it, I suppose. Is that what we have to do?
I had to sign it.
Okay,
so
I'll
you're
authorize
authorizing.
that the town, I'll make a motion that we authorize the town manager to sign this grant application for Ledge Light, $7,000 something.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. That gets us to 2016-0260, FYE 2018 budget discussion.
This is primarily on there, or I put it on there primarily just to remind everybody that next Tuesday, on November 15th at 6 o'clock, we have a joint meeting with the Board of Education to talk about the FYE 2018 budget. And in addition, on the following evening, on Wednesday, the 16th, you have a joint meeting with the RTM at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. And also for that meeting, for the meeting on the 16th, there is a copy of the agenda that the RTM moderator has asked to be put forth.
Bonnie?
I had down that we were meeting at 6 PM
On which day?
for that, the 16th.
That's what the board.
The 16th is at 7. The Wednesday is at 7, the Tuesday is at 6 with the Board of Education.
Okay.
Joe?
I couldn't cancel my plans to go to Florida in time, so I'm gonna have to not be here for that meeting.
Joe out?
Joe is out. I won't be at that meeting.
Joe and
For
Tammy.
both, or just for the Wednesday?
Oh, for both. I'm going next week.
Tuesday is at 6? Wednesday is at 7.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
So we do have a agenda for the RTM meeting. Is there things that people want to talk about with the Board of Education? That we can send them in advance? I think if anybody has anything, they should forward it on to Mark. Mark?
Besides talking about the budget, if there's time, I would certainly think it would be appropriate to talk about the school referendum.
Sure.
As Nikki brought something to my attention to me today, that, you know, we've been working on the CIP, and we have a ton of school projects that were submitted in anticipation, or if in fact the referendum was not approved. I'd like to be able to address the Board of Ed on that, because, you know, part of the problem we had last year and the year before, in all due respect, on why the budget increase was so high, is there were a lot of CIP projects that were put in that were then removed. And it kind of inflated the bottom line number. And because of something that happened many years ago, I think it's important that the Board of Ed sign off in some fashion on the CIPs that are submitted. I think a lot of these projects, I haven't had a chance to talk to the superintendent as a result of the referendum passing. I would imagine many of these projects are deferrable, if potentially not needing to be done at all, depending on the timing of the new project. But I know the primary purpose is to talk about the budget.
Yeah.
I certainly understand that.
Okay.
But if any of you have any other topics that you want to talk about, just as a courtesy, I would like to be able to pass them on to the superintendent.
Probably like an update on the magnet schools that are, number of students are
Enrollment.
going out of town.
That's down quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they could give us an update.
I was interested in the student population that's leaving from the Navy property again. I know it's a different number every year, but I just was curious what it was this year.
Okay. We have 2016-0204 review of town services and operations.
I simply put that on here if there were things the council wanted to talk about, or if there was time to talk about it tonight. We do have a meeting with the Board of Ed and the RTM. Not quite sure how either one of those meetings are going to go, short of the agenda, so.
I think it's going to be interesting to put it on the next COW after we have our discussions with the Board of Ed and the RTM, and see if that gives us any direction or any insight. Did everybody agree with that?
That's a good.
Yes. Yeah, did you get everybody's lists?
I've gotten not everybody's list. I've gotten some lists.
Okay. I mean, we should probably get that before that meeting too.
So the next items are joint meeting with the City of Groton, joint meeting with the Board of Ed, joint meeting with Groton Long Point Board of Directors, meeting with state legislators, and joint meeting with Stonington Board of Selectmen. So we're meeting with the Board of Ed. I think that I think Mark forwarded a letter to everybody today from the city regarding the Public Works money. Did everybody see that? Okay. So probably, I think we will be taking that up quite possibly down the road of this agenda. Yep. So I think it's on the agenda because we want to see if there's interest in meeting. We haven't met with these different municipalities, I guess, different groups in a long time, some of them in quite a while. So is there a desire to meet with the Groton Long Point Board of Directors? Is there a desire to meet, try to get I guess the state legislators, we should wait till they're seated and in, right, in a sense,
Yeah, I would
right,
say,
Joe, is that right?
I would say so. Yep.
So I would imagine we put that off. Yeah, Harry.
So I thought that Rob Simmons was going to come here to talk about that bridge. I mean, that's probably why this is on there,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah,
We
Dave,
never really did that.
No, that was a.
Well, I think it may be on there for that. I did have a letter, the mayor and I
Yeah.
talked the other day, and I remember, I did get a letter from Rob that I sent out to everybody, either today or yesterday, about the bridge, just
Yep.
informing us. But, there had been a practice previously of meeting with the Board of Selectmen of Stonington once or twice a year, and we've kind of gotten away from that over the
Oh,
last
really?
couple
Oh,
of years.
yeah, well, we should do that.
And I think historically, they've been topics of mutual interest.
Yeah.
Be it the bridge, be it the pump out boat, be it Mystic River Ambulance, whatever
Yeah.
it may be,
I think it'd be great to
The
have them,
library.
the library.
to set something up with them for the future, like reach out and send a letter and say what they did. Steve?
One thing to keep in mind is these are standing referrals for 2016. As soon as we roll into 2017, we'll have fresh 2017 standing referrals for the same topic. So it's not like if we don't do it by the end of the year, we're never going to
Yeah.
see them again.
Yep. Bonnie?
Can we go back to the city mayor
Mhm.
letter? So what's our next step? What are we going to do?
Well, I think we're going to,
We're going to talk about that.
in
sure.
executive session.
Okay.
So for these standing referrals, just, as the mayor noted, we're probably going to be meeting with the city and the Board of Ed in the near future. Any timeframes that you want to, I realize, the holidays are coming up and it's gonna be tough to put people together. So do you have and you just said you don't want to meet with the legislators until they're seated,
Yeah.
which makes
We
sense.
could meet with our first selectman, Rob Simmons, though,
Well, I think
Before-
ask
before-
them to come in and we
before
can
January.
do something in the new year,
because
right?
he's not
Like,
changing.
reach out to them and say we're looking for January, February.
Okay, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait till the new year on all?
I just think because of the holidays, it seems like a smart way to go, but,
With Stonington, yeah, sure.
yeah, with Stonington.
Okay.
All right. And I think Groton Long Point, I mean, I know we had met with them before, right, Harry? You guys?
Yeah, we've met with a lot of them. There's nothing kind of pressing to talk
Yeah.
about right now, I don't think. I think our highway, we've done some of their roads. I think things are going okay
Okay.
right now. The bridge isn't an issue to talk about now, is it, Mark? I mean,
Yeah, we're getting to a point where we need to dust that off.
I think
because-
that
Maybe
even if
January
we don't
again
really
there.
have anything to talk
Just to-
about, it's a good idea
All
to
right.
get together. They're part of our town.
Agreed, but we should have some kind of a, we should have some kind of agenda to have a discussion with them about. Yeah,
I actually, I'm thinking of this now. I mean, we're going to have 3 new legislators up there. Maybe we do come in before, because we're going to, immediately, we're going to be talking about funds for our school project
Yeah.
and making sure that goes
Sure.
through properly. And maybe if we can relay it to the new legislators right there, what our expectations are and what we're looking to get out of it. Maybe we should meet before we go up there.
I think that's a good idea, because I think what you're all going to find out is you're drinking from a fire hose as soon as you get up there. It's going to be tough getting
Yeah.
all 3 of you in January.
So why don't we reach out to Heather, Chris, and Joe,
Yep.
and
I'll hear it.
and see if we can have them come in before,
we've never done that before. That'd be really good. I mean, that's an opportunity.
Do you think we could get them in on the 16th meeting?
I'm not going to be here next week.
he's going to Florida, Greg.
I think a lot of people might be out of town after this election. I'm not sure if Heather's sticking around either, but.
All right, that gets us to, anybody else with any other meeting in discussion? If not, that gets us to 2016-0177, the city highway budget, FYE 2016, potential executive session.
So in the last week, we finally got a copy, or finally, the decision was issued. I have extra copies tonight. And also, we did receive a letter from the city mayor the other day. I think it would be helpful if the council went into executive session to talk about how you want to proceed with the decision. And Matt has kindly prepared a motion, or Eric has, so that, this is all part of an arbitration or litigation, and I think it would be appropriate for the council to have a discussion amongst yourselves on how you want to proceed.
So I hereby move the members of the Town Council Committee of the Whole, Town Manager Mark Oefinger, and Town Attorney Matt Auger go into executive session pursuant to General Statute, Section 1-200, parentheses 6, parentheses B, for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations related to pending litigation and/or pending claims concerning the highway budget dispute between the town and the city of Groton. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7-0 to 0.